Super Mario Bros. 3 has a speedrun history going back 20 years, and over that period of time, players optimized the run in many ways. For instance, in the very first speedrun performed by David Gibbons, he needs to rebuild P-speed to reach the secret room. But over the years, it was discovered you could time a series of inputs to maintain P-speed so you could fly up to it immediately. Another major time save happened in 7-2, where runners used to start the level with a star to clear an enemy so they could backtrack and get P-speed. But over the years, the strategy changed to intentionally take damage so you can get P-speed without backtracking. These were things inside of the player's control, as optimizing them came down to the inputs you pressed. But if you did everything correctly, there was something lurking beneath the game's surface that was waiting to kill your run: the hands of World 8. These are entirely based on RNG, with nothing players can do to affect them, so most high-level runners just accept that lots of runs will die and take the reset on the chin. However, what if I told you that there is an even worse RNG mechanic? The Hammer Bros are present in almost every world of the game, and in current speedruns, they're the gatekeepers for if your run continues or gets dragged to the underworld of time loss, as their movement is completely unpredictable. And in today's video, we'll be going over how players solved this problem and broke the final minute barrier this game will likely ever see. Oh, and shout out to the fans I ran into in a ruined church in Cove, Ireland when I was on vacation. Super Mario Bros. 3 is my second favorite 2D Mario game, but one thing I love more than Mario is saving money, and this video's sponsor Rocket Money can help with that. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance app that helps you lower bills, cancel subscriptions, and manage your money better. Recently, I found out I was paying for streaming services that I don't even watch anymore, which had been siphoning money from me for months. But with Rocket Money, I could have identified and canceled this unwanted subscription ages ago, as it connects to your bank account and shows you all of your active subscriptions, and canceling them just takes a few taps. Rocket Money can also help you create a budget customized to your needs in seconds, as it helps you identify what you're spending your money on. And if you use all of its premium features, you can unlock further savings, with some users saving up to $740 a year. Go to rocketmoney.com/Abyssoft or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. And with that, let's get back to the video. For world record level Mario 3 speedruns, a lot of time can be lost or gained depending on how the Hammer Bros behave on the overworld. When you complete a level, they will always move in a random direction and are only coded to move once, but there are exceptions that allow them to move multiple times. For instance, they can't land on a level tile, mushroom house, or pipe, and will always try to arrive on a coin. However, they can't land on the same coin they started on. So, if they move to a level, they need to pick another random direction since they can't stay there. But if they move back to the same coin they came from, they'll have to repeat the process until they land on a coin other than the one they started on. And since each movement takes half a second, the time loss can quickly add up. With this knowledge, the best thing that can happen is for the Hammer Bros to move once, which runners call a movement of 1. If they move twice, it's a movement of 2, and so on. As the speedrun became optimized, any movement greater than 1 became a liability, so in 2018, MitchFlowerPower sought to create a manipulation that limited how much they would move. It starts in World 1. In fact, it's the entirety of World 1 leading up to the end of 2-1 that makes up the manipulation, and if you want to get really technical, it actually starts from power on. Without getting too far into the details, the random number generator SMB3 uses does a good job of creating the appearance of randomness. But it's not entirely random. In fact, what it does is incredibly consistent. If you arrive at a game event on the same frame every time, the event will do the same thing consistently, and this includes where the Hammer Bros walk, which is decided at the end of a level. In World 2, there are 2 Hammer Bros, one with the hammer and one with the music box. The music box forces the Hammer Bros to stop moving for 2 turns, but the hammer lets you smash a rock. And if you smash the rock below this pipe, you can skip 3-2, the sun level, and 5-2. However, manipulating the Hammer Bro with the hammer is another question entirely, as while they do have a 25% chance to move to the tile you want, that's only true from a tile with 4 paths leading from it. The map itself isn't set up like that. In fact, it's set up so that they're likely to land on an undesired tile, causing the cycle to repeat and greatly reducing the chance of finding a frame where they do the thing you want. Take this spot for instance. There's the option to move right, left, or down. If the bro moves right, it needs to return since it can't stay on the mushroom house. And since it can't remain on the same coin that it started on, it needs to move again. If it moves to level 4 or the sun level, it can't remain there, so it does the check again, with it having a 50-50 chance of going back to its starting tile, where the process would start again. The manipulation Mitch tried to create had the goal of getting the hammer bro with the hammer to cross 3-3 and move down so you can collect the hammer after the castle. But there's a problem. The hammer bros will never cross 3-3 naturally, so how do you get the hammer before completing that level? There's one case of hammer bros movement that we haven't looked at, and that's what happens when two hammer bros occupy the same tile. Two hammer bros can't occupy the same tile, so if they ever move to the same spot, they're forced to move again. However, the code for one hammer bro doesn't have any knowledge about the other, so they don't check where each other will be moving, which means it's possible they'll move to the same tile. When this happens, even if both hammer bros land on a tile they didn't start on, they need to move again, which runners refer to as a marathon, and marathons can go on for a very long time.
Is this? Oh, I can play now, thank you.
While a marathon can kill a speedrun, it's also what Mitch wants to manipulate because while marathoning, the hammer bros can cross into 3-3. So what Mitch wanted to do was find a frame at the end of the castle in World 2 that had the hammer bros marathon a specific way so they crossed 3-3 and then split. But this process was incredibly painstaking. Since the RNG counter starts at power on, Mitch knew that all he needed to find was a certain frame in the speedrun near his average completion time of reaching the castle in World 2 that had the hammer bro movement he wanted. But finding a single frame where they do a specific marathon was hard, so he split the manip into 3 parts. At the end of 3-1, 3-2, and the castle, Mitch will wait for a few seconds to end the levels on a specific frame. That way, he executes the manip in small pieces, which was easier to find frames for than looking for a single frame in the castle level on its own. This manip had a small flaw, however, as it had the hammer bro with the hammer move above 3-3, which lost time navigating to it. So in 2024, due to the run becoming more optimized, Mitch created a new manip to have the hammer bro move down, saving a few overworld movements. You might be wondering how he knows which frame to jump on to end the levels, and that's because he uses a metronome that starts when he powers on the game. It's not hooked into the code, so it's not considered a tool. All it's doing is starting a count at a certain time so Mitch can better align his jump input, much like they use in Pokemon to manip a starter. Another important point is that this manip is so precise that lag frames are a big problem, so the entire first of the run implements strategies that eliminate lag, as even a single lag frame ruins the manip. However, World 2 isn't the only thing that hammer bros can cause havoc on. World 3 has a mechanic where after every level or hammer bro encounter, the bridges between parts of the map will be raised or lowered. The ideal path through this world is to defeat the hammer bro with the hammer, then to fight the other hammer bro that has a star. Not because the star is useful, as it takes more time to use the star than it would save in the speedrun, but because this hammer bro needs to be killed so the bridge to level 8 is opened. If the hammer bro goes over the bridge to World 8 or goes between World 6 and 7, then there's no way to lower the bridge without playing an extra level, thus killing the speedrun. And when this happens, it's known as a runaway bro. But the hammer bro problems are just getting started. In World 4, there are a total of 3 hammer bros, and the best possible outcome is that you fight one of them, then avoid the other 2, and hope they don't marathon or do long movements. In World 5, the music box is used to put the hammer bros to sleep for 2 overworld visits, which is done after coming out of the pipe, since if you do it before entering the pipe, you waste one of the sleep turns. There's also a hammer bro in the sky in World 5 which has the potential to do bad patterns, and all you can do is say a prayer to RNGesus and pray that nothing bad happens. World 6 is the last world with any Hammer Bros to worry about, of which there are 3. One of them has a star, which we don't want, and it's entirely based on RNG as to which one you'll get. And that's it for Hammer Bros. From World 1 to the Fortress in World 2, there are 3 manips you need to perform while playing at the highest level. The rest of the Hammer Bro movement is entirely random and can either kill a run or bless it. So far, we've covered an extensive RNG manip and then the RNG that's outside your control. But what about the things inside your control? When it comes to tricks and hard levels, SMB3 has plenty, and the Fortress in World 4 is a good place to start. We haven't talked about P-Speed, but it's a fundamental mechanic in the game where after running for a certain amount of frames, the P-meter becomes fully charged and Mario runs at his fastest speed. But getting P-Speed in this fortress is very hard, as there are lots of vertical jumps where if you're moving at top speed, you won't be lined up with the optimal jump position. To work around this, P-Speed is delayed by taking backwards movements so you can make the early jumps, but if you make an error, there's a chance you die or don't get P-Speed when it's needed, which either kills the run or loses a ton of time. And while this is difficult, it's perhaps World 7 that is even more challenging, as it has 3 different wall clips you need to perform. If Mario has a tile above his head when he stands up, he'll become stuck. However, the developers didn't want to softlock players, so they implemented a fix where he'll be pushed right until he's ejected from the wall. So by intentionally getting stuck, you can skip large portions of a level, particularly in 7-1. At the lowest level, this trick is subpixel dependent, so to get his subpixels in order, Mitch lightly taps the D-pad after the airship boss fight in World 6. Then does it again in the World 7 Fortress, which makes the trick possible. In a normal playthrough, you're supposed to go inside of the door and actually complete the level, which is set up like a pipe maze. But since the exit is on the other side of the wall, with some precise inputs, you can wall clip and skip everything, just as the small indie company that made the game intended. 7-6 is an underground level where you navigate vertically with moving platforms in a layout where you can screen wrap, but with another wall clip you can skip all of this, which brings us to 7-9. This level doesn't just have one wall clip, it has 2, as the layout is set up in large metallic structures you need to break blocks inside of to navigate through. But by skipping the first 2 with wall clips, you can save a ton of time. When it comes to other hard tricks, there's also Fast 7-2, which has had so many strategy changes over the years that it would take an entire video to explain what's going on. But at a basic level, you're manipulating P-Speed and skipping over the music box Pit of Death. If everything we've covered so far goes right, the only challenge left is perhaps the most famous RNG fest in speedrunning, the hands in World 8. In this section of World 8, there are hands on tiles 1, 3, and 5 that have a 50-50 chance of spawning, and if they do, you're pulled into an inescapable level that you must beat to continue. This gives you a 12.5% chance of getting through without seeing a single hand. And since it takes 45 minutes to reach the hands, you're looking at about 1 run every few days making it past them if you grind as much as Mitch does. But on April 17th, not only did Mitch hit the early Hammer Bro manip, he avoided the Runaway Bro in World 3 and hit all of the wall clips. All he needed was the hands to cooperate. Between the hands and the end of the game, there's only about 5 minutes of gameplay, which includes a fortress, 8-1, 8-2, another fortress, then Bowser's Castle. The levels aren't super difficult, and the fortresses are auto-scrollers, so if you get past the hands on pace, a record is likely to happen. And when Mitch got to Bowser, he was positioned to set the first sub-50-minute time in history.
Yeah! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! I can't. Oh my god!
The myth, the legend, MFP.
We did it! I can't even. Oh! Oh my god! We did it! Holy s***! Oh my god, dude! I can't believe it!
This is likely the last-minute barrier that Super Mario Bros. 3 will ever see, as it can't go much lower with current strats. In fact, just a day later, Mitch's run was beaten by Kudo1K, who lowered the time by a single second. The only possible strat that could save time is 7-4 clip, which is a wall clip, except it takes place entirely off screen and has only been hit by a single person on the Mario All-Stars version of the game. What you're seeing on screen now uses a special camera so you can see what's going on. This trick takes place without any visual help, involves X and Y subpixels, and P-speed. So it's not likely someone will hit it in a run anytime soon, and I promise there aren't any fakeouts with the editing this time. But maybe if Nifsky takes up Super Mario Bros. 3, I'd be able to add one in. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next exciting episode of Abyssoft Z.